How's it going, everybody? My name is LuckyBunz. In today's video, we're going to be going over tips and tricks to get you guys ready for the Final Justice event in Pokémon GO. So first of all, this event is going to be taking place from November 25th at 10 a.m. to November 30th at 8 p.m. local time. We're going to get the following bonuses. We're going to get one additional Orange Raid Pass to use every single day during this event. For newer players watching, you can get more than one Orange Raid Pass by spinning gym stops after you've already used one. And we're also going to get a boosted Shiny Raid on the following Pokemon: Hitmonchan, Hitmonlee, and Hitmontop. And I believe the boosted Shiny Raid should be 1 out of 128 from those wild spawns. I do also want to mention that we're going to have his Swing Sneasel feature during this event, and that's going to be a perma-boosted shiny, being 1 out of 64, so even better than the shiny boosted Pokemon that are featured during this event. Next up, let's talk about Keldeo and its Resolute Form. So this is going to cost 50 candy to transform Keldeo, and by doing this, you're going to be able to TM to get its signature moveset, Secret Sword. But how good is Resolute Keldeo? Well, for those who don't know, Keldeo actually has the same base stats as Terrakion, which was the best non-mega fighting type attacker in the game with Double Kick and the Legacy moveset Sacred Sword. Now, Keldeo in its ordinary form actually had access to Sacred Sword without it actually being an elite TMable moveset, which was pretty nice, but the only difference between Keldeo and Terrakion was the fact that Keldeo didn't have access to Double Kick, which put it a few points lower than Terrakion on the ER scale, but that still made it better than most fighting type attackers in the game. Now, another interesting fact about Keldeo is that the base stats don't actually change when it's transformed into its Resolute form, but as mentioned earlier, it is going to get access to its signature moveset, Secret Sword. No elite TMs are going to be required here though, you can just use regular charge TMs to actually get this moveset. And despite Keldeo not having access to Double Kick as a fast move, Secret Sword is going to give it a massive upgrade in the meta. This raises it almost 11 points on the ER scale, which puts it a few points below Mega Lucario with Force Palm and Aura Spear. That means that it's actually going to be better than Shadow Conkeldurr, Terrakion, Mega Heracross, and Mega Blaziken. Now, given that Keldeo is a mythical Pokemon and most players only have access to one of them, I'm sure some of you might be upset that you didn't get a good IV spread on your Keldeo. I do want to remind you though that the base stats plus the moveset of a Pokemon matter far more than the IVs, so even if you got the worst IV spread possible, which would be 10-10-10, your Resolute Keldeo will still be better than every other fighting type attacker in the game aside from Mega Lucario, so you really shouldn't let the IV spread keep you from investing into this Pokemon because it's going to be super good no matter what. Now, I'm sure some of you are probably just getting back into the game after the Go Wild area this past weekend, and you might be wondering how to actually get Keldeo. So originally, Keldeo was released through a paid special research back in 2022 December, and then we were able to get a free Keldeo during the Tales of Transformation seasonal special research that ran from September 2nd to December 2nd, 2025. So at the time of watching this video, this is still ongoing. Now, for players who are probably going to be watching this after December 2nd and were unable to get themselves a Keldeo through this seasonal special research, Pokémon GO did mention on their blog post that there is going to be a new special research called Finding Your Voice that will award Keldeo. This will only be available for players who didn't get the Tales of Transformation special research though. Now, for those of you that want to get yourself a Shiny Keldeo in Pokémon GO, there is going to be a paid Masterwork research available for $8 during this event. For those of you unfamiliar with how Masterwork research quests work, these are designed to be quite time consuming, so it's gonna take you probably a few months to actually get done. And if you're a casual player and you decide to actually buy this thinking you're gonna get an easy Shiny Keldeo, you are mistaken. You're definitely gonna have to grind out these tasks, and every year players buy these Masterwork research for the Shiny Mythical. They complain about the length and they're just like, this isn't what I signed up for, but it's literally in the name, guys, Masterwork research. You're gonna have until November 30th at 8 p.m. to buy this ticket, but unfortunately these Masterwork research tickets cannot be gifted to your friends, so I think that's kind of unfortunate. I think it'd be really cool if you could gift these to your friends if you wanted to, but for some reason they just don't let you do the Masterwork research quests like this. Now, for those of you that are going to be purchasing this, I would recommend going through the web store because you will get an additional premium raid pass and a star piece by doing it this way. Now, given the meta relevance of Keldeo in its Resolute form, I wouldn't recommend transferring your Shiny Keldeo from Go to Home, because once you do this, you cannot transfer it back. So if you really just care about the main series Pokemon games, I mean, yeah, for sure, transfer your Shiny Keldeo because I'm sure that's why you're playing Pokemon Go. But if you actually like playing Pokemon Go and you want to have a super good fighting type attacker in the game, then I would definitely make sure to keep it in Go. Now, of course, with that being said, we have to ask ourselves the question, is this ticket worth it? And I would have to say it is, just given how rare Keldeo is to get in Pokemon Go, or just in any Pokemon game for that matter, and especially Shiny Keldeo, only one other way to get it, and that is quite a tedious task. So if you actually care about the shiny mythical Pokemon in any of the Pokemon games, I think this Masterwork research is totally going to be worth it for you. Now, does that mean that you need to get this? No, of course not. You can be perfectly fine with your regular Keldeo. You're still going to have an OP fighting type attacker, but I understand that some people think that shinies do more damage, and they'd be right to think so. So yeah, when it comes down to it, I think the Masterwork research for $8 is definitely worth it for the challenging aspect that it's going to bring into your playstyle, and then also for the shiny Keldeo being super good in Pokemon Pokemon Go, and just Shiny Keldeo being very rare to get across all Pokemon games. But once again, if you choose not to get it, it's not going to be the end of the world. I promise you will live, and your regular Keldeo in its Resolute form will still do a lot of damage. Now we do actually have some other stuff going on during this event, some wild encounters, field research, lower tier raids, legendary raids, so let's talk about all that right now, and I'll go over what you actually want to pay attention to. So first of all, from the wild encounter pool, we're going to have Hitmonchan, Hitmontop, Hitmonlee, Hisuian Sneasel, and Crab Brawler. Once again, Hitmonchan, Hitmontop, and Hitmonlee are all going to be shiny boosted at 1 out of 128, and Hisuian Sneasel is going to be a Prima boosted shiny at 1 out of 64. Crab Brawler is also rumored to get a Mega Evolution with the new upcoming DLC in Pokemon Legends ZA, so you might want to try and get a hundo during this event if you can as well. Now, it was also mentioned that there will be more wild Pokemon featured during this event, but they didn't specify which one, so just have to imagine it's going to be a few more fighting types. Next up from the field research, we're going to have Hisuian Lilligant, Sock, Throw, and Galarian Farfetch. Hisuian Lilligant was only featured in raid battles previously, so this will be a good time to actually try and get this shiny if you happen to miss that raid day. And then Throw and Sock are both regional Pokemon, so whichever one you guys currently have in your own region, definitely make sure to try and get the other one. Following that, in 1-star raids, we're going to have Machop, Timber, and Pancham, and then in 3-star raids, we're going to have Galarian Farfetch, Throw, and Sock. Once again, in those 3-star raid battles, you can get all these Pokemon from field research, so I wouldn't really recommend doing them. Next up in the legendary raid pool, we're going to have Cobalion, Terrakion, and Virizion to go alongside Keldeo as a featured Pokemon during this event. They are the Swords of Justice, and they're making their way back into raids again, but sadly without their legacy movesets. That's okay though, because for both Cobalion and Virizion, you'll still want to ideally mirror trade them for a better IV spread in PvP for the Open Ultra League. They're very, very good there. And if you do happen to get a good IV spread, you can always elite TM to get Sacred Sword, which is going to be their legacy moveset. Now we're also going to have Terrakion, which is going to be one of the best fighting type attackers in the game with Sacred Sword. So if you do happen to get a really good IV spread, you could always elite TM to get that as well. But keep in mind, you are getting access to Keldeo in its Resolute form during this event, and if you already have access to Mega Lucario, maybe I would be a little bit more conservative on your approach with Terrakion moving forward. Still, that Pokemon is super good to use, so if you do happen to get a really good IV spread or like a really good shiny, I would consider investing into at least one, but maybe don't take it past level 40. Personally speaking, I've been using a combination of Mega Lucario, Terrakion, and Shadow Conkeldurr before I max revive in battle. Anything else is just so much worse nowadays that the time it takes to re-lobby is honestly just more efficient than going in with a different Pokemon. And given that I can add Keldeo in its Resolute form to this team of amazing Pokemon, yeah, that's gonna be even more of a reason not to go with anything else. The main takeaway here is basically just how good Mega Lucario actually is. Like, some people don't even include the Terrakion and the Shadow Conkeldurr, they just keep reviving Mega Lucario over and over again because it is just so much better than every other fighting type attacker in the game, and Keldeo in its Resolute form is only a few points lower than that. So if you literally just went with the combination of those two Pokemon as your fighting type raid team, I mean, you'd be solid. You just need to have a lot of max revives ready to go, but I guarantee you will do so much more damage. Now additionally, we're also going to have a raid hour taking place for Cobalion, Terrakion, and Virizion on November 26th, and this is going to be taking place from 6-7 p.m. local time. For those of you unfamiliar with how raid hours actually work, most gyms are going to have the featured Pokemon appearing and the raids will reset after about 25 minutes, which means you can hit the same gyms again at the half-hour mark, and that's pretty convenient if you only have a few gyms around you. Next up, let's take a look at the Mega Raid rotation. We're going to have Mega Garchomp, Mega Medicham, and Mega Aerodactyl all available from November 25th to December 2nd, just like Cobalion, Virizion, and Terrakion. If you happen to miss Mega Rayquaza in October, then you definitely do want to pick up some energy for Mega Garchomp, also because everybody got access to a ton of Garchomp from the Go Wild area. I mean, you already have the Garchomp ready to go, they're most likely powered up, just get the energy and then you can Mega Evolve this bad boy. Now, this is also going to be great for candy farming bonuses because it does take on the dual typing of Dragon and Ground, so Mega Garchomp all around is a Pokemon you do want to pick up. Make sure you do at least 1 to 2 raids of those. Now, we also have Mega Medicham, which is going to be great for candy farming bonuses because it does take on the dual typing of Fighting and Psychic, similar to Mega Gallade. And then finally, we do have Mega Aerodactyl, which isn't going to be as good as Mega Tyranitar when it comes down to Rock type relevance, and we also just had Mega Tyranitar available in Mega Raids a little bit earlier during this month. But if you happen to miss that and you just came back to the game recently, then make sure to do this raid boss for sure. Next up in max battles, we're going to have Dynamax Eevee featured from November 24th to December 1st. This will get a future G-Max form, but I don't believe you're going to be able to evolve that. So if you want to get the various evolutions in their Dynamax forms, you definitely do want to be doing these throughout the week. In terms of the relevant ones, Jolteon's going to be a good budget option compared to G-Max Toxtricity, Espeon's going to be a good budget option behind Alakazam, Glaceon is probably one of the best ice type attackers we currently have in max battles, so that one's actually good to pick up. And then Sylveon's going to be a budget one behind Max Gardevoir. But Sylveon's evolution requirement is pretty heavy, especially without the name trick, so I wouldn't really recommend going for the Sylveon. I would have to say that Glaceon makes the most sense, and maybe Jolteon, just given that we haven't had Gmax Toxtricity in max battles for a while. Now we do actually have 2 more overlapping events happening during this event as well. We're going to have the Spotlight Hour for Scraggy, which is going to feature the special bonus 2x catch experience. This is going to fall pretty close to Thanksgiving time if you do celebrate that holiday though, which is why I kind of feel like the Spotlight Hour is a little bit less of a priority. It's definitely one you can skip, unless you do want to go for that shiny or potentially get a good IV spread for the Mega Evolution, but you don't really need the Hundo as it's not going to be relevant as a fighting type attacker compared to some of the other Pokemon we already have available, like Mega Lucario is going to be unmatched. But instead, I would actually focus on building a good IV spread for the Open Ultra League, and then you can use that as your Mega Pokemon. This way you'll get dual functionality out of it. Now we're also going to have the Dynamax Lugia Max Battle Weekend on November 29th and November 30th, and most power spots are going to feature Dynamax Lugia, which are going to cost 800 MP to complete. Dynamax Lugia is probably going to be a pretty tough raid boss. It's very tanky, so make sure you guys do have enough players. For some reason, the Dynamax Legendary Pokemon, I mean, they're capped at 4 people, so I don't even know if that's like a realistic scenario for a Pokemon this tanky, but hopefully things do work out. I gotta say, you know, you definitely want to be going into these raid battles or these max battles with people who are going to be pulling their weight, because if you have one person who's really not, it could be the difference in actually getting this done. Dynamax Lugia and Lugia in general is a very difficult raid boss to actually beat in Pokemon Go, so I'm a little nervous for that reason. Now in terms of the bonuses, we're going to have power spots refreshing every 30 minutes. We're going to have the MP collection limit raised from 800 to 1600 on both days over this weekend. Same thing with 8 times MP from power spots going from 120 to 820. We're also going to have 1/4 adventure distance for MP, so instead of it taking 2 kilometers to walk to get 300 MP, it's only going to be 0.5 kilometers. And there's also going to be a timed research available on November 25th, which is going to award 1500 MP. And the last time that we had a research like this, they changed the requirements where you only had to just complete 5 max battles to get this done. So it's pretty easy, at least compared to how it was before. So I hope that structure has actually stayed, but I would not redeem this until the event weekend after you've already gone past your MP limit, either on Saturday or on Sunday. This will expire on November 30th at 9 PM, so you'll have plenty of time to actually go through and redeem this after you've already used up all of your MP for the day. Now the reason I'm saying that is because if you actually claim this during the event, that is going to factor into your MP collection limit, whereas if you actually do it after you've already hit that limit, you can bypass it from the research MP. Now of course we have to ask ourselves, how good is Lugia for max battles? Is this even worth doing? Well, Lugia is built to be a great tank, but it unfortunately lacks a 0.5 second fast move, which doesn't make it optimal to use in max battles compared to some of the other amazing tanks like Blissey or Zamazenta. So I would just grab a few of these to drop in power spots in order to actually farm candy on Lugia, and if you do happen to get the Hundo, this is really good to use in the Open Master League, but you do need to give it an Elite TM in order to get Aeroblast. I would say though it is worth using your free MP to do a few Dynamax Lugia, but I would not raid this a bunch. I wouldn't go out of your way to keep raiding this throughout the day. I mean, yeah, you could go for that shiny Dynamax if you really want to hunt this, but otherwise, I don't know. I think Lugia is probably going to sit on the bench for the most part. Now real quick, I just want to go over the best Mega Evolution to use during this event for candy farming bonuses. I mean, it's basically a fighting type event, so Mega Medicham, Lopunny, Lucario, Blaziken, Heracross, or Gallade are all going to be great options. Basically, any fighting type Mega is going to work for this event, so just use your highest level Mega in order to get more candy and extra large candy. And keep in mind, we are going to have Mega Medicham featured during this event, so for any new/returning players coming back to the game, you can just do that and then just have that active. It's going to be better than not having anything active at all. Anyways, that pretty much covers everything I have for you guys in this video. If you do want to check out some more content, I'm going to recommend these 2 videos next.